Hey everybody, happy Sunday. I hope that wherever you are and whatever you are doing, you are safe and you are well and you are with someone you care about who also cares about you. Well done for making it to 2026. I know I said Happy New Year last week in the Sunday Musing, but this is the first one that I'm officially recording in 2026. So I just wanted to reiterate the season's greetings. In case you have missed one of the videos that we made just before the holidays, we're going through a bit of a change here at the channel and we're just pivoting our focus a little bit. And so today's Sunday Musing kind of reflects that slightly. I want to know from you if driving an EV, a vehicle that maybe is not quite as mainstream as other fuel types in many markets around the world, although certainly not in every market, hello Norway, whether that has prompted you to become a little bit more interested in or engaged in learning how your vehicle works. I'm just going to come out and say it. I have ADHD. It's ADHD combined with autism, right? And so ever since I was really small, I've had this compulsion to at least understand the basic principles of how something works before I feel comfortable using it. I've talked about it before on the channel, but it's kind of a compulsion to me, right? How does it work? I was talking to my mother over the Christmas break, and she was joking with me how when I was a kid, I would just take things apart. And a lot of the time, I never put them back together again. But I mean, it's a problem I still have in some respects. But normally I now put things back together. I've spent a lot of the holidays tinkering and making and modding things. But I've had this compulsion to want to understand how things work. And while, I don't understand every single intricacy of how a modern EV works, I understand the basics of motors. I understand how electromagnetism works. I understand how current works. I understand how even things like pulse width modulation works and how that can be used to control the speed of a DC motor, and how three-phase motors work and how the three phases are calculated in a very fundamental, very rudimentary, very do not let me near high voltage electricity way. But it makes me feel, I suppose, a little bit more empowered as I'm going about my day in an EV. And I also think that it helps me feel a little bit more empowered when it comes to repairing things and changing things and tweaking things. I'm more likely to want to go, oh yeah, I understand how this works. Let me go and tweak this. Let me go and make this better. And I'm not sure if that's something that you feel. And I also want to know if you deciding to buy an EV, or if you don't own an EV, if you're looking to buy one, whether the fact that it is a different form of power than a lot of people use, i.e. internal combustion engine, whether you feel like a little bit more compelled to want to know about it. And if that is true for you and you've owned an EV for a while, has that led you to investigate and learn other things? I think, despite my predilection for wanting to know how things work, I think I definitely have a push towards wanting to do other things that are electronics based because of driving an EV. So for example, I like to know how our solar panel system works. I want to know how our water pump works so I can use as little resources, as fewer resources as possible, so I don't waste resources when something's broken. So we've had a point in the past where the well pump broke and it was just spewing water everywhere and I felt terrible about it. So learning how it works, learning to diagnose problems, which is very key for me, and being able to go, hey, there's a problem, there's an issue, and I'm glad I know how this works. It makes me feel safer. I would love to know how you feel about this, and perhaps you are the opposite end of the spectrum. Perhaps you are, EVs are dangerous. If you mess with them, electricity can kill you. And by the way, this is no disrespect. I am aware that there are people who feel this way. They're happy to drive an EV, but if anything goes wrong with their car, straight off to the dealer, happily pay the dealer full price to fix it and move on. But I have a suspicion that people who are in that latter category are the ones that are more likely to go, yeah, EV experiences were not great. My ownership experience was not great. And I also worry that people who don't have an active interest in how their vehicle works, whether it's gasoline or diesel or electric or something else, are the ones that are more likely to be taken advantage of. Maybe I just have a bit of a social justice bent on that, but that really scares me. The thought that people are being taken advantage of by unscrupulous sorts because they don't know what's wrong with their vehicle. The dealer says, this needs X, Y, Z, and the person goes, okay, and pays the money. Now, I've caught dealerships before in the past going, yeah, your vehicle needs this. And I look at it and go, no, it doesn't. Or they'll say, your vehicle is fine. It doesn't need this because our diagnostic program has said it's fine. And I've gone, no, these are the situations when this happens. Here's the reason I think this is broken. And sometimes it's because, this particular circuit is clearly failing, but it's only failing in this way and in these circumstances that your test doesn't cater towards. And that's saved me money because I've been able to argue, no, this thing is either covered under warranty or you're wrong, you don't understand the inner workings of it, because very often the people paid to learn about EVs, sometimes they're very good and very engaged, and sometimes they just get the certification because their manager told them to. So understanding, knowing, and being able to do a little bit of diagnosing is very important to me. And I would love to know if it's important to you. And I would love to know if buying an EV or a plug-in vehicle of some type has helped you become more curious about how the vehicle works. Additionally, I want to know if you now know more about an EV and its inner workings than you maybe did about a gas car. I would be curious. Or do you think if you're just curious about these things, you're curious about all things in engineering? I would love to know your thoughts in the down below. Thank you so much for joining me today. Our end credits are slightly different now. We're trying something different. So normally in the studio, I'd have a little bit of a script to let you know what I want you to say in the down below. But let me know your thoughts in the down below. And also, just to prove that you've watched until the end, I want you to tell me one thing that you have learned about your EV that you may not have learned if you didn't have that curiosity about how it works. So if that fits you, leave that in your comment as well. You can support the channel by going to patreon.com/Transport Evolved. You can also sign up on YouTube, although that doesn't really help us so much. Subscribing on YouTube by all means, especially with Take Two, it helps the channel grow. But from a financial perspective, if you want to support us, Patreon, sending us a check through our mailbox or sending us some money through Ko-fi is probably the best way. Thank you so much. Be like this awesome list of people scrolling by me right now. They are the reason that we are here. Don't thank me, thank them. Have an amazing rest of your week. Whatever you're doing, continue to be the awesome change that I know you all are, that you want to see in the world. And keep evolving.